One more final predictive mock draft ready for you. Kyle Krabs, it's his turn this time on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Krabs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts with you daily, sometimes twice daily, to talk team building across the NFL on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to say a big thank you for making Locked On NFL Scouting your first listen every day, and a big welcome to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single show, we appreciate y'all being here. And, of course, today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Football GM. If you've ever dreamed of becoming an NFL GM and managing your football franchise, then this game is definitely for you. To download the game, just visit ultimate-gm.com or look it up on the app stores. Our listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code LOCKEDON in the game.
Joseph, happy Kyle goes to Best Buy and buys himself a new microphone, and now we get to drop another mock draft podcast day to you.
You sound so good. You sound good.
A little better than the AirPods, right?
You know?
I didn't realize how janky the old Blue Yeti was until I got a new one.
So what did you get? I mean, we haven't even talked about that.
It's a Yeti X.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. I just know it was not like the little tiny one.
Yeah, the little ball.
Yeah, it looks like the new refined, streamlined Blue Yeti microphone.
Wow. Well, you sound great, man.
I feel
Welcome
great.
to the new mic to the podcast. We're going to see
mic,
you every day.
That's right. That's right.
Big part of your life here.
So I did a mock draft, and I had the bones of it done last night, and I slept on it. I thought about what Joe Marino said and made a few last-minute just touch bases with people that I know that would know about what they know, about what the teams think they know, about what's going to happen tomorrow. And it's my best shot. Now we'll see what happens. But I've got a mock draft ready to go.
All right. Here it is.
I guess I'm obligated to do the dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Draft Dude's final, Kyle Krabs' final, Draft Dude's final 2023 NFL mock draft. This is it.
Yeah. This is
Team
it. I don't know
building.
what's about to happen. I'm excited. I get to get this for the first time myself.
The amount of overlap is slightly up from the last time.
It's 13 the last time we checked.
Yeah, it's 15. We have
Okay.
so it's about half the first round we overlap on.
But not half.
But not half. Slightly less
Dudes
than
do
half.
math.
Draft Dudes do math. Slightly less than half.
16 different picks, 15 similar.
With the first overall pick in my final mock draft, I do have the Carolina Panthers taking Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama. Certainly feels like there's no other direction. This has been going for about 2 weeks now. And when Carolina made the move up, they could have gone in any which direction. The Bryce Young steam has been full steam ahead. Certainly, you think Carolina with the coaching staff that they have in place, the offensive line they have in place, you have an infrastructure to build around a young quarterback. So I get the thought process of let's get the one who we think can be the best of both worlds while he learns to play the best of both worlds between in structure and outside structure. With the second overall pick, the Houston Texans are selecting son, Tyree Wilson. I thought about telling you. I thought about saying you should have done that when you did yours, and then I was like, no, I'm just gonna do it.
No, I did something. I said, what, Tyree Wilson?
Yeah. But
you did better. Nicely done.
Tyree Wilson. Look, so here's what we've heard. We've heard that Nick Caserio likes Will Anderson, but Tyree Wilson might be a better fit for the scheme of DeMeco Ryans. What else have we heard about Nick Caserio?
I don't know exactly what you're looking for right here.
Dude might be out of here after the draft is what we've heard about Nick Caserio. So why are we going to make a pick based on what Nick Caserio likes versus the coach that just got the 6-year guaranteed contract. We're going to pick the player that fits the coach because we've heard rumblings that the GM might be on the outs. Tyree Wilson, that's the pick. Remember that pick because we're going to come back to the Texans here a little sooner than regularly scheduled. With the third pick, the Arizona Cardinals are selecting Will Anderson Jr. They need pass rush help. Anderson Jr., obviously from Alabama, was a snub from the Heisman in 2021, was the most disruptive player in college football that year. Let's not make this harder than it has to be. You just got to draft good players if you're the Arizona Cardinals. So if you get arguably the best defensive player in the class at number 3 on the board and you need all the defensive help that they do, and you have a defensive-minded coach, let's go ahead and pick that player. So we're going to pick Will Anderson Jr. The Indianapolis Colts at number 4 select quarterback Anthony Richardson, Florida Gators. And the reason why, Joe, is just as much about the Steichen, toolsy, upside, unique angle as it is the hedge. I'm making a hedge. And I'll explain the hedge in a couple of picks. The Seattle Seahawks at 5, from all accounts, it sounds like Jalen Carter. It has a lot of momentum to be the selection there. So I have Jalen Carter, defensive tackle, Georgia Bulldogs, at 5 for the Seattle Seahawks.
So we're 5 for 5 on the same pick. So that means that, like, the differences are coming.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, we're going down on the ship in the top 6 because I also have Devin Witherspoon to the Detroit Lions at number 6.
Okay.
This reminds me of 2021 when we were chalk for like the first 8 picks.
Okay.
And then we kind of went our different ways. And we had a good year that year. Devin Witherspoon at 6. They traded Jeff Okudah. You said it yourself. You watch him play and you say, Detroit Lion. Done. The Las Vegas Raiders at pick number 7 select quarterback C.J. Stroud. This is where the first time we differ.
Mm-hmm. I thought about this for myself too, so good call here.
I have not been able to, since it became apparent that Stroud was not going to be the first overall pick and the whole S2 cognitive test thing became a thing, and it became apparent he was going to slide a little bit, I have not gotten the thought of Stroud with Josh McDaniels and that being the kind of fit that you would want to play for the Josh McDaniels scheme, and the Raiders really only being committed to Jimmy Garoppolo for one season out of my head. And because of that, I'm putting Stroud with the Raiders, acknowledging it might be one and done for Jimmy. It might be 2 and done for Jimmy. I don't know. But you're probably not going to be in a position to get the quarterback who Joe Marino and Kyle Krabs think is the best quarterback in this class at QB3 at number 7 overall. And he's a fit. Mm-hmm. I like it. The Atlanta Falcons are trading out of the number 8 spot. And the Houston Texans are coming up to draft Will Levis.
Okay.
With the 8th overall pick. So the Texans, 2 picks in the top 8. They get Tyree Wilson at 2, Will Levis at 8. We've heard the Falcons are a team that wants to trade down. Mm-hmm. I had to get away from the Titans picking before the Texans.
Gotcha.
So I had the Texans trading in front of the Titans, knowing full well that the other teams in front in Chicago has already traded down once. They might not want to move down again, and Philadelphia is kind of in a rare position with being as good as they are and having a top 10 pick and maybe wanting to make that count. So I have 4 quarterbacks in the top 8. Stroud to the Raiders, Levis to the Texans in a trade-up situation to slam the door shut on the Titans.
Makes sense.
Pick number 9, offensive lineman Peter Skoronski, Chicago Bears, local, Chicago, played at Northwestern. Think he's got some positional flexibility for a team that has had some promising late-round picks that played last couple of years at the offensive tackle position. Maybe you want to put Skoronski at a tackle spot. Maybe you'd like the versatility that he provides that maybe some of the other guys don't, to be able to play him inside and outside. So those 2 things combined led me to Skoronski being the pick at 9. And then at number 10, the booze did not deter me. Bijan Robinson running back to the Philadelphia
Okay,
Eagles.
we're going down together, baby.
We're
Let's
going
go.
down together. So, Joe, for the record, if you include the Will Levis pick, because you had it at 12, and you had Stroud fall to 11, so you still had Tennessee go QB, we have 8 of my first 10 picks we overlap on.
So that means only 5 more.
Correct. The
Overlap is coming. So the rest of this is going to be very, very exciting. So make sure you stick around. But first, we need to tell you about today's sponsor, which is Ultimate Football GM. We've talked about this mobile game app before, but if you've ever thought about being a GM and you think you do a good job, well, then this game is definitely for you. When you play Ultimate Football GM, you get to control and manage every strategic aspect of your team as you play through seasons and try to build a dynasty. With Ultimate Football GM, you got to deal with hiring the right coaches and coordinators, managing the finances, including negotiating player salaries and terms. You got to deal with free agency, the draft, injuries, player personnel issues, and all the ups and downs of a season. And this all comes in a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Football GM is completely free, playable offline, on the go, as you want and when you want to. Locked On NFL Scouting listeners, you get a 100% free boost to your franchise when using promo code LOCKEDON in the game store. That's Locked On, so make sure to check it out today. To download the game, just visit ultimate-gm.com or look it up on the app stores. That's ultimate-gm.com. Ultimate Football GM, start your dynasty today.
So with pick number 11, it's a shame because if I didn't have to worry about the Will Levis hedge with the Texans, they might go Will Levis at 2. And that's the reason I went. That was part of the motivating thought behind putting Richardson at 4 to the Colts, because I wanted to put Levis to the Colts. But then you kind of get into this weird limbo where you don't know if you're going to get the Texans a quarterback, and it just wanted to leave both of those possibilities open for me.
Gotcha.
In a different world, I wanted Minnesota to trade up to 11 and get Anthony Richardson, but that's not the world that we live in, because that didn't happen, because Richardson went 4.
He has to fall. If Minnesota wants to get Richardson, he's got to get through that gauntlet, that early gauntlet, because like to move up to 4, I mean, you're giving up everything.
Yeah,
for this
you can't.
guy.
I don't think they have the ammunition to pull that off, even in a down year. But if he gets, if it's 12 spots to go to 11, I think that's feasible.
Yeah, you can stomach
right?
that.
But that's not the world we live in. So instead, the Titans are taking Paris Johnson, offensive lineman from Ohio State.
Okay.
With pick number 12, the Falcons, who were in pick 8, trade back 4 spots, pick up some extra draft capital from the team that I think has the most draft capital in this year's class, in the Texans. And they select Nolan Smith, hybrid linebacker type from the Georgia Bulldogs. Joe, you also had that slotted in your mock. You just had that at pick number 8 instead of at pick number 12. 13, Green Bay Packers get north of the New England Patriots. I'm guessing the reason why is for wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Patriots kind of moving some players around. Juju Smith-Schuster, trying to Mike Gesicki, but a different kind of body type, a different kind of player, style of player. You got big physical guys getting a big route runner. Maybe that was on their radar, but it's not anymore because the Packers now have Jackson Smith-Njigba to complement the young pass catchers that they have and help build around Jordan Love. This was where I really struggled because I looked at the best available and I said, wow, I still have all these corners left. I still have a lot of offensive linemen left.
You only had one corner off the board, right? And 2 offensive linemen?
Yeah. Devin Witherspoon, Peter Skoronski, and Paris Johnson.
Okay.
Through the first 13 picks. I could tell you the next the next 6 picks are offensive linemen and corners.
Okay, here they come.
And we heard that. Mm-hmm. We heard when the offensive line run comes this year, it's going to be merciless. And it is going to happen fast. And I think here's where it happens. I have the Patriots taking Christian Gonzalez, corner from Oregon. So
coin flip between O-line and corner for them, right? Especially if they get owned out of JSN.
Well, I could see them going pass rusher too. Would it surprise you if they went Lucas Van Ness?
No.
Right. And that could be very easily be another player that the Packers jumped for because Gutekunst always likes those kinds of guys.
But suddenly if you're the Patriots and you're in this AFC East and you see these passing offenses that now exist,
you better score points or stop the pass. Yeah.
Yeah, figure it out. Right. Because you're not scoring with them. You're not. I'm sorry, you're not.
So Christian Gonzalez, different kind of corner into that kind of young corner room that exists right now. At 14. At 15, the New York Jets select Broderick Jones, offensive tackle, Georgia. They went for the Mauler type before and hasn't quite materialized yet. Let's go back to the well again. Get another long corner that can get some push in the run game, Broderick Jones. The Washington Commanders at pick 16 select cornerback Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State. Long, physical, man-to-man, can play press, straight line speed. Pittsburgh Steelers at 17 draft offensive tackle Darnell Wright, Tennessee. You think about wanting to get some push up front for Najee Harris and some of the investments that they've made kind of on the interior of the offensive line. They brought back Chuks Okorafor, and they still have Dan Moore there. I think you could put Wright in either tackle spot, and it would probably be an upgrade for Pittsburgh specifically over what they have right now. Darnell Wright to the Steelers. Feels like a Steelers brand of guy. Speaking of brand of guy, the Detroit Lions. Offensive lineman Osiris Torrance, University of Florida. Absolute road grader at guard. The guard spot is kind of the weak spot on the offensive line right now for the Lions. They've got some turnover. They've got some expiring contracts coming up. And they invest more in their offensive line than any other team in the NFL last couple of years from a dollars perspective. So getting a first-round pick there would not surprise me. So Osiris Torrance plugged in there. Tampa Bay at 19. The offensive line run continues. 4th and 5 picks. Anton Harrison, offensive tackle, Oklahoma Sooners. Joe, this was an overlap between the two of us as well. And that's kind of the end of the tackle run here. I think that gives us 5 total if you're counting Skoronski. So
there's a stretch there if you go to the Skoronski pick at 9.
9, yeah.
So from 9 to 19, you had half of those picks were O-line, right?
We had Skoronski, Paris Johnson, Broderick Jones, Darnell Wright, Osiris Torrance, and Anton Harrison.
6 of the 10. That's
crazy. 6 of the 10, and then you had 2 corners tucked in there too.
So 80% of the picks. You promised a corner and O-line run. You delivered it.
I
thought about Torrance as well for Detroit. That was one of the I wound up going with Lucas Van Ness, but in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe this is an Osiris Torrance spot.
Yeah.
So
I like that fit for them. Would not be surprised at all with how much they wanted to run the football and make that an emphasis of who they were. And then the last pick before our next break, Joe, is the Seattle Seahawks. It's a weird slot. They could go a lot of different directions here. I ultimately went with Zay Flowers, wide receiver from Boston College. Mm-hmm. Kind of give you that third receiver, that slot receiver type, either freeze, lock it up to move inside, or if you want Zay to be that kind of player, they've got a really good 1-2 punch, but kind of that third player has been a smorgasbord of Jags the last couple of years, and I think it would really help the offense take a new element, and I know there's a lot of Seahawks fans who agree, to get a more dynamic player at wide receiver 3, so I'm getting him Zay Flowers.
I like how so many of the things that I didn't do, you did. So I will find out if I have a lot
between the two of us, right?
Yeah, thought about Zay Flowers for Boston College. Kyle, this is our second podcast of the day. I've also had a second Built Bar today, the Brownie Batter Puff, after I went to my workout and before I got the cookie dough, because Built Bars are awesome. They are the best tasting protein bars on the planet, and they're healthy and delicious. They're healthy because they're covered in 100% real chocolate, and they have great flavors. Like I mentioned, brownie batter, cookie dough. They've got cookies and cream, peanut butter brownie, churros, so many great flavors, and they're also healthy. They're low calorie, low sugar, high protein. Everybody loves that recipe, so check them out. They are awesome. And look, you can go to Built.com, order yourself a box, and get 15% off your next order by using our promo code LOCKEDON15. Or you can go to your local Sam's Club or Walmart and pick up a box off the shelf. These things are awesome. We talk about them all the time, well, because they're that good. They're like legitimately a part of what I do every day. I love endorsing this product because I believe in it and I enjoy eating multiple Built Bars every single day. Check them out. You'll thank us later.
Pick number 21, the original pick 21, has been forfeited, so we're going to move to pick number 21, courtesy of the Los Angeles Chargers. Joe, and we're back in the saddle together. Dalton Kincaid, tight end, Utah, is my forecast, which would make him the first tight end off the board to the LA Chargers at pick 21.
So I'm thinking the rest of this is going to get real interesting.
We have 3 overlaps left.
Oh, wow. Okay.
None for the next 4 picks, though.
Okay.
The Baltimore Ravens select cornerback Deonte Banks in this mock. He played at Maryland, stayed in Baltimore. They have a need at corner opposite of Marlon Humphrey. That secondary kind of came to form late in the year down the stretch as the offense kind of struggled with the injury to Lamar. And I think making sure that the DNA of who Baltimore has always been when they've been successful is important. And I think pairing Banks with Humphrey gives you at least one of the most physically imposing 1-2 punches at corner. Maybe not the best 1-2 punch at corner, but physically imposing press 1-2 punch. Really like that for them. With pick 23, the Minnesota Vikings, a team that I wanted to get to move up for a quarterback in a different world, are not taking a quarterback here.
Ooh, I thought it was going to be Hendon Hooker.
No, listen, like Kwesi likes young guys.
And that's not Hendon Hooker.
That's not Hendon Hooker. I'm sorry. It's just not. I can't get there. So instead, I gave them a cornerback that we have heard a lot of buzz for going in the first round, Emmanuel Forbes.
If there's a spot, this is it.
This is the spot, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Flo loves his corners with length. Forbes has some length. So I like that one too. This is the team. This is the coach who's running the Vikings defense now that did not shy away from drafting Noah Igbenogany in the first round. So lock me in for Forbes. That's my last corner here in the first round.
Okay.
None that I regretted leaving out either when we get there. Jacksonville. Defensive end Lucas Van Ness is my selection here. You talk about what they got in Trayvon Walker, and then you compare that with Lucas Van Ness and really create a firm identity for yourself on the edge, and then have Josh Allen that could complement that and move around. I like that for them. It certainly seems like a bulky type selection. There's a couple bulky type guys on the board between the guy that you had and Adebawore. Miles Murphy's on the board.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Van Ness just because that's the guy predictively that I think has the most buzz. The New York Giants at 25 are drafting interior offensive lineman Joe Tippmann, Wisconsin. That interior trio for them was horrible last year. Like horrible for them last year.
Is it better? Not yet.
It will be with Joe Tippmann.
Yes.
It will be with Joe Tippmann, whether he's playing guard, center, or guard. It'll be better versus what they had. At pick 26, the Dallas Cowboys are drafting tight end Michael Mayer, Notre Dame. We've kind of heard consistently this is the floor for Mayer. I believe it. I see a lot of shades of Jason Witten in his game, so you can be rest assured Jerry Jones probably would love to get another player with echoes of that same kind of player with how successful he was for so long in Dallas. Joe, the Buffalo Bills at 27.
Here it comes.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but what did you tell me you thought the number one priority was for the Bills?
Linebacker?
No.
Defensive tackle. No, it's defensive tackle. Yeah.
So we're going defensive tackle. I'm giving you Mozzie Smith, defensive tackle from Michigan.
Hey, I'm happy.
I know you're happy, and I know you've talked to the Mafia about not reading too much into the lack of sack production, but this is a stalwart player on the inside, and I really love what he would be able to do for that Bills defense with how successful they've been while not having this kind of player, because I'm sorry, I don't count Jordan Phillips as being that kind of player in the past, even though he turns it on when he plays the Dolphins every single time.
He waves his arms in the air a lot like this. People love that.
Real animated personality as well.
Likes to injure his hamstring a lot, too. The last 3 years, he's missed like a billion games because of hamstrings. So
I stole the next one from you.
it's fine. Thanks for the
Bengals.
credit. Appreciate
Kalijah Kancey.
That was a
I did not have
proprietary
this
thing I
down.
had. I'm calling the cops.
I did not have this down, but I felt like if I could find a spot to get Kancey in, I better take it, just based off the predictive buzz.
Who did you have before so that you can I want you to go on record with the regret
Oh,
here,
man,
in case
who
you
was it?
switched it for a bad idea. Maybe a tackle or an offensive tackle, perhaps?
Yeah, it was DeJuan Jones.
Okay. All right. So if that happens,
I will know who to blame. It'll
Yep.
be you. Kalijah Kancey is the pick that I have down for the Bengals. Joe, our last overlap, Brian Brzee to the Saints at pick 29 as well. You know, they lost Anueta this offseason and they have been very astute about drafting and replacing lost starters in the draft the last couple of years. And I think Brzee could be that for them as well. And it's a potential high dividends pick based on Brzee when he's 100% and fully healthy. 2 picks to go. I like both of these. They're both also on the defensive line. The Eagles went Bijan Robinson, and I gave him Tommy Adebawore with my next pick at pick number 30. They need some interior defensive line help. They need some edge help. He could play either one. Philly went after Milton Williams in the 3rd round a few years back. This is the supersized, supercharged version of that kind of player. And you think about Adebawore being able to move around, playing on the edge, rotating with Brandon Graham, playing in the B gap on early downs with Jordan Davis as the 2 gap. That athleticism, I think, would be really, really fun. And I like that addition for them a lot.
Him and Reddick off the same side.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep. I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't think I've seen that mocked, but it was a matter of Philly with team need and not going that way, not getting Jalen Carter at 10 and saying, hey, man, like, we're going to come back and this guy's here, and I want to get him in the 1st round, so I'm going to put him here. And then at pick 31, the Kansas City Chiefs, are reigning Super Bowl champions, are drafting Will McDonald, pass rusher, Iowa State. It's from that area. There's a lot of buzz about him being a 1st-round guy right now.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, plus the Frank Clark departure, 1 + 1 = 2. So Will McDonald is my last pick for the Chiefs.
I like that one. Another one of the alternative picks that I had in my mind. And we know that they want to tap into this type of player with some of the multiplicity they show with their fronts. And I think having that type of speed and length off the edge complements the rest of what they have, right? They brought in Charles Omenihu.
A lot of heavy-handed guys.
Yeah, and I think you get this type of guy, and that really helps diversify how you can attack the pocket. So another one of those alternatives that I didn't go with that you did. So hopefully between the two of us, we get a bunch of matches here.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to do.
Who's the guys that you didn't find a spot for that you feel some type of way about?
I have 8.
Okay, yeah, I had a bunch too. So
yeah, I have yours written down. You had Campbell, Hooker, Forbes, Addison, Johnston, Jones, McDonald, Branch, and Keon White.
Yeah, and you got 3 of those in at least. I think.
So I have Campbell. I have DeJuan Jones. I have Brian Branch. I have Addison, and I have Keon White.
Quentin Johnson didn't make your. No, he did.
Who?
Quentin Johnson, and you had him, right?
No.
Or am I dreaming? Yeah,
You're
he's
dreaming.
out.
I didn't have him.
Out.
But I don't feel bad about leaving him off. Miles Murphy.
Oh, yeah, he's not. He was 30 for me, so.
He's going to be close. So I originally had him to Jacksonville, and then I put him to Philadelphia, and then I put him to Kansas City. But he just doesn't have the buzz that the other guys do.
Right. I agree.
And I left Jahmyr Gibbs off.
Yep.
Which it was hard to do. But it's like, man, where else am I going to find a spot unless I force one?
It's tough, man. It's tough. There it is, the haze in the barn, man. It's relieving to be done, right?
The haze in the barn. Well, I'm not done. You have to send me the email.
Oh, I thought I did.
No.
I'll send you the email.
Because You CC'd me on the first response, but I didn't get the actual reply with the form to fill out.
I'll handle that right away, Mr. Krabs.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank all of you who tuned in to Locked On NFL Scouting as Joe Marino and I revealed our mock drafts for the 2023 NFL Draft, our final predictive mock drafts. The hay, as Joe said, is in the barn. Hope you will join us this weekend, tomorrow night, Thursday night, Friday night, and intermittently throughout the day on Saturday. We will be live on the YouTube channel, Locked On NFL Scouting, to be discussing all of the action as it unfolds. So come hang out and join us. Special shout out to our everydayers who are plugged in and locked in on a daily basis. You can find us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. I'm Kyle Krabs. He's Joe Marino. He's Joe Marino. We're out of here. Let's enjoy the NFL Draft. Let's make it a great rest of our days. And we'll be back again tomorrow to take you through all the action that awaits.